The courthouse hallway was colder than Daniel remembered, not because of the air conditioning, but because of what it represented. Endings, finality, place where people arrived, holding folders instead of hands. Daniel sat on the hard wooden bench outside courtroom 4B, his knee bouncing impatiently as he stared at the thin manila file resting in his lap. Divorce finalization, 2 words that were supposed to bring him relief. He had told everyone, his friends, his colleagues, even himself, that this was the right decision, that the marriage had been suffocating, that Aisha had changed, that he deserved peace. Yet as the minutes ticked by, his chest felt tighter, his breathing shallower, like his body knew something his pride refused to admit. He checked his watch again. She was late. Typical, he thought bitterly. Aisha was always late when it mattered. Late to understand his ambitions, late to stop asking questions, late to accept that love wasn't enough. He leaned back against the wall, closed his eyes, and replayed the last argument. They'd had months ago, the one that finally broke everything. She had stood in the doorway, tears streaking her face, asking him why he never came home on time anymore, why his phone was always silent when she needed him, why she felt like a stranger in her own marriage. He had responded with irritation instead of reassurance, sarcasm instead of empathy. He remembered saying, "You're overreacting," before walking out. He never followed her. That night had felt like freedom. Today it felt like a mistake. The sound of footsteps echoed down the hallway, slow and uneven. Daniel opened his eyes, ready to deliver a sharp comment about punctuality, but the words froze in his throat. Aisha stood at the far end of the corridor, framed by the harsh fluorescent lights. For a moment he didn't recognize her. She looked thinner in the face, paler, her eyes carrying a quiet exhaustion he had never seen before. Then his gaze dropped and the world tilted beneath him. Her coat hung open slightly, revealing the unmistakable curve of a swollen belly, 7 months pregnant, maybe more. His heart slammed so violently he thought he might be sick. She walked carefully, 1 step at a time, one hand supporting her lower back, the other resting protectively over her stomach. Each step felt like a question pounding in his head. Pregnant? How, when? His mind scrambled through dates, memories, nights blurred by anger and silence. The realization hit him like a blow. There was only one possible answer. His child. The bench creaked as he stood abruptly, his legs weak, his mouth dry. He wanted to speak, to demand an explanation, but no sound came out. Aisha stopped a few feet away from him. She didn't smile. She didn't accuse. She didn't even look surprised by his expression. Instead, she met his eyes with a calmness that felt heavier than rage. "Good morning, Daniel," she said softly. Her voice was steady, but there was a distance in it. Like she had already crossed a bridge he was still standing before. He finally found his voice, though it cracked embarrassingly. "You're pregnant," he whispered, glancing around as if the walls themselves might be listening. "Yes," she replied. Just one word. No explanation. No apology. That single word echoed louder than any argument they had ever had. He ran a hand through his hair, pacing a step away before turning back to her. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked, confusion quickly sharpening into defensiveness. "I had a right to know." Aisha's lips trembled slightly, but her eyes held firm. "I needed a husband," she said quietly. "Not just a man who shared my name." The words landed carefully, deliberately, each one a measured truth. She lowered herself onto the bench across from him, exhaling slowly as if sitting was an effort. Daniel noticed the dark circles under her eyes, the way her shoulders sagged with fatigue. This wasn't a woman seeking sympathy. This was someone who had learned how to survive alone. He tried to speak again, but memories flooded in uninvited. Nights when she had waited up for him, dinner gone cold, messages left unread, calls ignored because he was too busy. He remembered how she had once placed his hand on her stomach, smiling shyly, telling him she felt different lately. He had brushed it off, distracted, uninterested. He had chosen convenience over connection. And now here she was, carrying the weight of both their choices. The courtroom door opened and the clerk called their names. The sound snapped Daniel back into the present. They stood side by side as they entered the room, strangers bound by paperwork and a shared past. The judge spoke calmly, professionally, asking routine questions, reviewing terms they had already agreed upon. Daniel heard the words but didn't absorb them. His eyes kept drifting back to Aisha's belly, the slow rise and fall with each breath, the life he hadn't known he was abandoning. At one point, the judge paused, adjusting her glasses as she looked at Aisha. "I see you're in an advanced stage of pregnancy," she said gently. "Are both parties fully informed and proceeding willingly?" The room fell silent. Daniel's throat tightened. This was the moment. The point of no return. He looked at Aisha, hoping irrationally that she would say something, anything that would make this easier, but she simply nodded. "Yes, Your Honor," she said, calm, composed, unwavering. Something inside Daniel cracked. This divorce had been his escape plan, his clean ending, but now it felt like a door, slamming shut on a version of himself he hadn't known he still wanted to be. As the judge prepared to continue, Daniel realized the truth too late. Some silences create distance, and some create consequences. And the greatest shock of all wasn't that Aisha was 7 months pregnant. It was that she had learned to live without him. Soft pause for narration. If this story is making you reflect on love, loss, and responsibility, subscribe to the channel for more powerful stories that reveal how small choices can change lives forever.